edition, and it's an amazing wild card. Not 3, but 6 games to get to. We have Geoff Schwartz, the guy who's going to take unders on all the quarterback passing yards for today, of course, former lineman, and Jason McIntyre. Almost his birthday, still not sure when. We'll get to that later. Fox Sports gambling analyst. And you guys, this show is really to answer your questions and hopefully make you some money for the wild card slate we got going for today and tomorrow. Send us your questions. Use the hashtag #TalkTheLine. You can tag at Jason McIntyre, at Geoff Schwartz, or even myself at Sara Perlman on Twitter. If you don't like Twitter, totally get it. Go on Facebook, join the Facebook group there for Talk the Line. Drop your questions. We'll get to those in the show. 60 minutes to try and answer 60 questions. We have never got to 60 questions, but we're going to try today. Geoff, J-Mac, how we feeling?
I don't know. I'm a little skittish. Sara, the markets have been tight all week. We've barely seen any movement. 2 games this weekend. We don't even know who's starting at quarterback officially, although the markets can kind of tell you who they're leaning toward. But I don't know. I don't have as many plays as I would in a normal NFL week. That's for sure.
We have football. We have 6 games the next 2 days, plus the national championship on Monday as well. It's the best football weekend of the year. I cannot wait to start talking about it.
I'm with you. I can't wait. So let's get started. Some questions to get to right off the bat here. Let's see what's first. Randall W. Less games this week, but I know you still have some winners for me. Geoff, give Randall a winner.
I've been going back and forth here about which one to give you, but I think it's very clear as we approach game time tonight that Alex Smith is probably not playing this game. If Alex Smith is not playing for Washington, Tampa is the play. I know it's up to 9 or 9.5 now, but guys, Washington doesn't win with Alex Smith, and they're not going to cover without Alex Smith either. They have no chance in this game if anyone besides number 11 is taking snaps. So it'd be a close game even without him playing, but at the end, Tampa pulls away. So if Alex Smith's not playing, guys, 9's the play here.
Yeah, that's pretty smart, Geoff. Calling an audible here. I mean, again, that's like breaking news that it looks like you're right. Taylor Heineke's going to start. I feel bad about a pick I gave out Thursday, the first half under. That could be shot to hell if Tom Brady comes out excited that he's facing somebody named Taylor Heineke. But my best bet, and again, I'm going to go with a total here because the markets on the sides are super tight. I'm going with an under 51 Bills Colts. These are 2 over teams all year, right? So what am I doing here? I believe the Colts will slow the football game down thanks to Jonathan Taylor. He's averaging 6.7 yards per carry in the month of December. That's in 5 games. He's really been a workhorse, the rookie, a tremendous rookie season. I think if they can slow the game down, I've got a great stat for you on the Bills that I'm going to save for a little bit later in the show. So stick around for that. I do believe the pressure's on the Bills. I know, Geoff, we've seen them dancing all week. They're doing the MC Hammer dance or whatever, the Weekend at Bernie's move that Sara has patented. I don't care who's dancing. Give me the under 51 Colts and the Bills.
Hey, Mac, I care who's dancing. I'm taking both of these games. My winner is going to be a teaser. These lines are too dang sharp for me to get in early enough. I'll take the Bucks. Of course, I've teased that down to 2. Now you're looking in the 2.5, 3 range. When that news came out, the line certainly shot up. I like the Bills. I'm teasing them down as well to get them to win. Okay, second question on the board coming in from Terry C. What's the biggest upset on the board? Let's actually take a look at the Fox Bet board. Of course, all odds provided by Fox Bet. Coming up tomorrow, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Steelers laying 6, Tennessee plus 3.5 at home. That's tomorrow as well. Today, Seahawks laying 3, Washington plus 9. Keep an eye on that. Bills laying 6.5 coming up soon. New Orleans double-digit favorites by 10. And, of course, those are the final games for the 6 wild cards. So, J-Mac, I'll start with you. Biggest upset on the board after looking at those lines.
Well, Sara, they are tight, as you said. And I'm going to stick with the opener here. Colts, it was 7 earlier in the week. I got it at 7. It dipped down all the way to 6. A lot of sharp action on the Colts getting 6. Now it's back up to 6.5 here as we approach kickoff. If you asked anybody, hey, any of your friends on your text message chains, your neighbors, maybe you're going playing golf, who are you betting? Everybody and their mom is saying the Buffalo Bills. That's the side, right? They're the hottest team in the league, won 6 straight by double digits. Okay. They've covered 8 straight. Oh, everybody loves Buffalo. Nobody is going to the window with the Indianapolis Colts. So what am I doing? I'm going to the window. Give me the Colts getting 6.5. Obviously, I love 7 more being a key number here. Again, I do believe this defense matchup to watch. Xavier Rhodes versus Stefan Diggs. You guys remember they were on Minnesota together, right? For several years. There is some familiarity there going up against each other in practice. If you can slow down Diggs, we know Cole Beasley hasn't practiced all week. He is active today. I can see the Colts kind of throwing a monkey wrench into this amazing Bills offense. Give me the Colts as my big upset, getting points and on the money line.
I think most sharp people are on this play too, right, Jason, that this is the one upset we could see happening. The biggest upset of the weekend would be the Bears. Look, the Bears have no business being in the playoffs, right? They snuck in at the very back door. Arizona had to lose for them to get in because they got blown out by the Packers. They haven't been a good team all season. Trubisky has not played well against any sort of defense ever, and the Saints have the second best defense in the National Football League. This feels like a really bad spot for the Bears. So if they're able to win this game, A, we got to give him credit for that too. But B, we got to start asking about Sean Payton, guys. It'll be 3 straight years now where he was a home favorite and lost before making it to the Super Bowl. So if the Saints lose this game, which I don't think will happen, there's some question marks to be had there. So this will be the biggest upset if it does happen this weekend.
Yeah, those are definitely 2 huge upsets. One I'm going with, not a big one. I think I could see the Rams beating the Seahawks. The line and the total are so low, which normally leads you to believe it'll be a close game. The Rams defense is very, very good, as we know, number 1 across the board. That's the only reason I could see somehow the Rams pulling this one off, regardless of the quarterback situation. All right, coming up next here, question coming in from Paul B. These lines are tight. Any landmines to avoid here? Let's head to our very own producer, Conrad, to see the latest on line movement.
Hey guys, was I the only one that got the memo on dressing a little wild for Wild Card Weekend? It's kind of seeming that way, but the game I'm looking at here is Browns at Steelers, and this one is big because it hits home for me. Being an Ohio boy myself, going against the Steelers, you hate to see what happened this week. I mean, the line opened at Pittsburgh -3.5, which showed that, hey, Vegas thought that the Cleveland Browns could go on the road and win a game in Pittsburgh, that it was a close game. Unfortunately, COVID came in, took out their head coach, Kevin Stefanski, offensive line coach, all-pro left guard, Joel Benito. And now the line is shot to 6, hit 6.5 a little bit there Friday, and then now back down to 6 here. Unfortunately for the Browns, I don't think they're going to pull it off, but this is the one that I would avoid.
This is definitely an avoidable game for me. This line is shot up far too much for me to touch. Geoff, which game are you avoiding?
I just mentioned, Bears Saints, there's no value really either way, right? I guess the Bears at +10, but no, does anyone believe they're going to cover this? The Saints obviously double digit. That's a lot in the playoffs. I guess you can tease the Bears to 16, I guess. The Saints, there's not much value in teasing them. I think you just stay away from this game whatsoever.
I got to give a shout out to Conrad for the Miami shirt and the Christmas tree in the background. How about that, baby? That's fun for a Saturday morning. Listen, obviously Geoff is spot on. I don't have much on Saints Bears. I do like the Saints, but again, double-digit favorites. Come on. Have you learned anything watching this show? I actually am starting to feel skittish about Rams Seahawks side. I know Sarah feels the Rams could pull an upset. I do too. I don't know who's starting at quarterback. Apparently McVay's out there saying, you'll know my starter when we take the ball on offense for the first time. I don't want to go into a game backing Goff with 3 screws in his thumb. And the Wolf of Wall Street, John Wolford, I like what I saw against Arizona, but we know the stats on first-time playoff starters, 9-30 straight up since 2003. That's a large sample size. And again, the familiarity of Seattle and the Rams, I do like the under here, but I don't like a side at all.
Yeah, a small sample size. I will say Sean McVay 3-1 ATS when getting 3.5 in these situations. So that's a tough one I'm also avoiding. Okay, the next question on the board, continue using the hashtag #TalkTheLine. Sandy, Cleveland won't win, but can they cover, J-Mac?
All right, so Sarah, I'll tell a little story here. First of all, no, Cleveland cannot cover. But my story is that I coach my kids in sports, okay? And obviously, I'm a very good coach. I'm passionate about basketball, and soccer. I know what I'm doing, okay? So if I were to get ejected, okay, who's coaching? They're just pulling a parent off the sideline and saying, hey, yeah, we need you to coach and call the plays and set up the defense. That's not going to go well. Look at the Cleveland Browns. Kevin Stefanski is their leader of men, and he calls the plays. Sarah, we just saw, Clemson go into the national title game, the semifinal, sorry. And they were without their offensive coordinator. Early in the game with the scripted plays, Clemson, awesome offense. What happened when they had to make adjustments in game? They had nothing. They got blown out. The offense with Trevor Lawrence, who's a great quarterback, looked terrible. So now I don't have my offensive play caller in Cleveland. I got Baker Mayfield, quarterback, starting for the first time in a playoff game, and night game in Pittsburgh where the franchise hasn't won since the Ice Age. Okay, this is everything lined up against Cleveland. Do not take the Browns under any circumstances.
I think Jason said it as well as you can here. I'll give you a narrow path to Cleveland covering this game, and it's that Pittsburgh's offense, the second half of that Colts game was the best they looked in months. So if you're a Browns fan, you have to hope that the week off that Big Ben took last week can kind of stunted a little bit of that momentum they had, that confidence they had in their offense, and they come out and have another piss-poor performance. The Browns defense is not very good. Denzel Ward out for the game because of COVID. Olivia Vernon, their other defensive end besides Myles Garrett, is out as well. So there's a very narrow path if you're taking the Browns here at +6. Last comment on this before we move on. Joe Bitonio, their left guard, second-team All-Pro, he's out of this game. And we've seen this year when they're missing a guard, most often their right guard, Wyatt Teller, they're not as good running the football or protecting Baker Mayfield. Their offense is limited. So I think there's just, again, the tiniest narrow path for them to do this. I would take Pittsburgh.
The only thing I will say is that if somehow the Browns can force the Steelers to run the ball, and the Steelers have not had 100-yard rushers since week 6, and Myles Garrett can get after Big Ben, who's not as mobile, I could see them covering. But I'm with you guys. This will be tough. All right, let's keep the questions coming. Sammy D, let's stick with this game. Got a lot of Browns fans here. Can Baker Mayfield put the team on his back this weekend? His total passing yards, guys, at Fox Bet 240 with the hook. Geoff, I know you love this prop, so tell me what about it stands out.
This went up like 15 yards from when I got this on Wednesday, 225.5. I would take the under here in a heartbeat. Can you guys pull that graphic back up about Pittsburgh sacks and hits this season? When Baker Mayfield is pressured, he is not a good quarterback. In the 5 games he's played against Pittsburgh, he is averaging only 176 yards passing per game. And this is why they sack him, they hit him, and they tackle for loss on the run game. He is not good against pressure again. He has not played well against Pittsburgh. He's been sacked 16 times in the 5 times they played him. Now you're without your left guard against that pass rush. TJ Watt will be nice and healthy after taking the weekend off. So will Cam Hayward. I think Baker is dominating this game. I think Cleveland's in for a rude awakening on offense in this game. I think it's all bad for Cleveland. Under.
I've got nothing to add except that I don't think I'm legally allowed to put the college tuition fund on a Geoff Schwartz special. I don't think I can do that because that's, Jeff's wheelhouse. He has own quarterback.
I'm going to override that rule. I feel like you can do it.
I mean, but Sarah, seriously, like 5 games against Pittsburgh, never topped 200 yards. I saw another offensive lineman, Geoff, on Cleveland had an illness and missed practice Friday. I don't know if that means he's got COVID or what. Like, I guess we'll see what happens. But no on all Baker Mayfield props.
Getting to question number 6 on Talk the Line, the Q&A edition, gearing you up for Wild Card Weekend. Alex asked, do the Colts shock the NFL and upset this red-hot Buffalo team? Phillip Rivers 4-0 in the wild card round in his career. It's going to be chilly in Buffalo, not the best stats in cold weather. Let's head down to meteorologist Allison to get the latest weather update in Buffalo.
The weather in Buffalo will be cold as Josh Allen and the Bills host Phillip Rivers and the Colts in the Super Wild Card Weekend matchup. High pressure will dominate in New York, bringing dry conditions. Temperatures will be downright cold, just above freezing for the entire game, with wind chill levels dipping into the 20s. So we will see if this cold weather can cool down the red-hot Bills as they seek to win their first playoff game in 25 years.
Bills on a 6-game winning streak. Some cold weather. We heard it, J-Mac. What do you think about this one?
Okay, so this is a stat. I haven't mentioned this to you guys. I do other stuff for FS1, Fox Sports. I write a column. I haven't put this anywhere, okay? Geoff, you're going to love this. So I was looking at the Bills. They've been dominating teams, obliterating teams, okay? When was the last time they trailed in the second half? I spent my Friday night, it was popping, okay? I looked through every Bills box score. The last time the Buffalo Bills trailed in the second half was the Hail Murray game, November 15th, almost 2 months ago. This is a front-running team. It's easy for Brian Daboll to call loosey-goosey when you're crushing teams. I want to see if the Colts could get to the second half. Obviously, that's significant. But can the Buffalo Bills adjust to some adversity? They have not trailed in the second half in nearly 2 months in a football game, okay? I'm curious how they handle that with Josh Allen, still a young quarterback, and a defense that can't stop the run. So, again, I am kind of heavily invested in the Colts.
So here, I'll add a few more to the Colts here. when a team becomes a smaller underdog, so they opened at +7, now down to +6.5. Since 2003, that team is 75% against the spread. So when you go from a bigger underdog to a smaller underdog, since 2003, 75% against the spread. The Colts offense has picked up, right? It takes a little bit of time with a new quarterback and a new system. It takes about 10 weeks. Since week 10, the Colts offense is averaging 30 points a game, almost 400 yards a game. Jonathan Taylor, the last 6 weeks, Jason mentioned earlier, 123 yards rushing. I feel like this is the perfect offense to go into cold weather Buffalo and handle this. On the flip side, the Colts bring pressure without bringing extra defenders. When Josh Allen is pressured, of course, completion percentage is down. Everyone's is down against pressure. But his yards per attempt are 15 yards per attempt. He makes a ton of big plays against pressure. If the Colts are able to sit back on defense and get home with 4 and negate some of those big play capabilities for the Bills offense. So I'm with you guys here. I think Indy, well, I know Sarah's not with us, but Jason, me and you, +6.5 is the side.
If you guys are on the right side of this, I will never hear the end of it. That's all I'm going to say. Moving along, let's get the next question up here, Conrad. Mason S., which over stands out this week? I'll go first. It's my auto bet. I don't care if people say it's Titan Ravens. I'll take the over every time. It's a shootout. J-Mac.
I think I like that. What is it at now? Yeah, okay, that's about the same number. Yeah, I think that's good. I feel like there's a slightly bit of an edge on Bears Saints over. I don't know why this is at 48. I know we have, oh, wow, it's 47.5. Oh, yeah, I really like it now. I mean, I just don't know what I'm missing here in the market. And Geoff, maybe you can help me out. Okay, Trubisky and the Bears have been an over offense the second half of the season. We know that. Even if it's garbage time, they're going over. And we know the Saints are getting Michael Thomas back. They did not have him in the first meeting. We've seen the Bears injuries all week. Roquan Smith has a ghastly hyperextended elbow. We don't know if he's going to play. The secondary is a mash unit for Chicago. Listen, the Saints are going to go up and down the field. And by the way, Roquan Smith is one of the best cover linebackers in the league, according to Pro Football Focus. Kamara had 9 for 96 in the earlier meeting. Like, the Saints are going to have success here. I don't know why this is 47.5. I thought it was 48. So once Geoff starts talking, I will go bet it on my phone.
I think it's a good play here. Obviously, Sarah's the Tennessee Baltimore over feels like a good play, but I do worry about the time being in that game. A lot of running the football in that contest. I'll tell you to look at one specific one. Second half overs in Washington football games have hit in 11 of 16 games. And obviously, Alex Smith may or may not play in this game. That might affect how you take this, but Washington is notorious for starting slow in the first half, picking up in the second half. Also, look, defenses tend to tire over games, especially when the offense is doing nothing. And so the offense does nothing in the first half of this game. Look for Tampa Bay to explode offensively in the second half as well.
Yeah, I happen to agree with that. I like all of those plays. Okay, let's see. The next question coming up from James T. Only way Washington can cover is backdoor, right? Well, Geoff, you just kind of touched on this game, so I'll let you take this question from James.
I think not with Alex Smith. Like if he doesn't play, the only way they cover this game is defensively come out early and score a bunch of points and hold Tampa, and you're up 14-0, couple fluke plays, and then Tampa has to kind of grind their way to a 21-14 victory. I do not see Tampa being up, let's say, 21-7 and Washington coming down with Taylor Helinski for a late touchdown to make this game close. So I think you either get this early on or this game doesn't cover at all.
Sarah, last year, Tom Brady faced a first-time playoff quarterback in Ryan Tannehill, lost at night. Now he could be facing another first-time playoff quarterback, Taylor Heineke, at night. Big favorite. Listen, I'll just say this. If you look at the 2 times Brady's really been bottled up and struggled in the postseason in big games, it was against the New York Giants in the Super Bowl. What did they do? Get at the quarterback with 4 without blitzing a lot. That's what Washington does. But again, like Geoff said, this Heineke situation is ghastly. It almost makes me want to have a Heineken.
Well, you can have a Heineken after Heineke probably gets sacked 6 times by the Tampa Bay pass rush. I'll take the over on the sacks if that comes up. Okay. Moving along here, you guys. Jackson M. Will Lamar and the Ravens keep covering for you, boy? I'm in Tennessee, you guys. I'll tell you it's cold. Let's head down to meteorologist Allison to get the official weather report and how that'll affect tomorrow's game.
The weather in Nashville will be cold as Lamar Jackson and the Ravens visit Derrick Henry and the Titans in this all-important wildcard weekend. It is a quiet weekend in Nashville, but temperatures will be on the chilly side. Afternoon highs will barely make it into the 40s, with the wind chill values dipping into the 30s. Now, it is perfect football weather in Tennessee this weekend, so we will see if the Ravens can get revenge against the Titans after being upset in last year's divisional round matchup.
Well, no matter what the weather is, both teams can run the football. So I'm not even sure how much the weather plays into account for this one. But do you think Lamar Jackson and the Ravens cover this 3.5-point spread, Jason?
I do. Although I'm not feeling as great about it because, sometimes you'll turn on the radio or you'll go to the mailbox and talk to the mailman, or you'll just see people out, humans, even though they're wearing masks, and everybody and their mom is on the Ravens here. And I'm like, what am I missing? Tennessee's at home. Tennessee's beat them the last 2 times. Everything to me in this game points Ravens. And I'll give you one number. Geoff, I know you love when I bring up special teams. The biggest edge in special teams of any of the playoff games, Baltimore Ravens, second in the league in special teams. They've got one of the great kickers of all time in Justin Tucker. The Tennessee Titans are 28th in special teams. They are a dumpster fire. Go look at that Colts game where they had a punt block. They've missed field goals left and right. Big edge in special teams for Baltimore.
For me, this game is a simple matchup. Is Tennessee's defense against Baltimore's offense, right? Tennessee's defense does not pressure the quarterback. They're terrible on third down. Baltimore's offense is fabulous on third down. That's a big part of the game where, obviously it keeps the ball away from the Tennessee Titans offense if Baltimore's churning down the field, and obviously ends up with a lot of points, which obviously you need in a game against this Titans offense. I will say, when this line first popped up for the weekend, I was very surprised to see Baltimore favored, right? I think it's Vegas is telling you, like, hey, guys, we really like Baltimore. If this was in Baltimore, they'd be favored by 6, right? Or 7. So I think it's telling you guys, like Vegas, the people that make these lines really like Baltimore in this spot. I'll go with them.
I like Baltimore, so I'm on that as well. You guys are watching Talk the Line. Use the hashtag Talk the Line on Twitter. Tag Jason McIntyre, Geoff Schwartz, or myself at Sara Perlman, or go on the Facebook group on the Talk the Line. Dump your questions in there. We're going to try to get to them throughout the show, leading you up to kickoff. All right, Logan M., which underdog has the most value on the money line, Geoff?
Well, I think we've been over this many times, and it feels like the Colts. It does feel like most sharp people are kind of on this, which kind of, I don't know if I like it as much. But again, I just think Indy has the formula to slow down Buffalo. But I will say, if Buffalo gets up in this game early, 14-0, you might want to look to take them in game, even at a large number, because the Colts are not built to come from behind. Philip Rivers is not built to be uncomfortable. So if this game gets up, Bills get out 14-0, even if the Bills are at 19 or 20 point favorites, I'm not sure the Colts are going to keep this game close if they cannot score early. So that's something to look at in game.
I confess I was just checking my Instagram messages because I got, I put a lot of gambling content on there. Somebody just sent me that there's a lot of money line action coming in on the Rams. Sarah, I don't know, maybe you gave it out earlier, but apparently some of the numbers are trending well for the Rams here this morning. Game day, a couple hours before the game. I don't know what that's about. Perhaps someone has inside info somewhere on whether or not Jared Goff is going to start. I know we had the report from Ian Rappaport that it looks like Goff will not go. But again, I guess there's some underdog money line value on the Rams.
I'd agree with that. We'll see how that game plays out. Let's move on to the next question. Coming up here, Luke P. Does TB12 feast on Washington? Line does say so already, but there's probably a better chance now that we know Mike Evans is number 1 receiver, who left last week's game with a hyperextended knee, is playing. So let's hear from Dr. Matt Preventure the latest on Mike Evans and how that'll affect today's game.
Buccaneers wide receiver Mike Evans injured his knee in last week's game. He's listed as questionable for today's game, and Mike didn't participate in practice on Tuesday and Wednesday, but was limited in practice on Thursday. As I reported on his injury last week, it just didn't look like an ACL tear and more like a capsule or outside ligament injury. And just like Coach Aaron said Thursday, Evans has a chance to play today and will be a game time decision. And if Mike plays, expect his productivity to be down about 12% coming off both a knee and hamstring injuries prior this season.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. P. Yeah, so it is confirmed Mike Evans will be playing. His productivity, according to the doctor, of course, will be down about 12%. But for me, it doesn't make a difference. His 12% worse is still better than the majority of receivers on the field. So for Brady, his 290.5 passing yards over is juiced -120, under -105. Geoff, with Mike Evans playing and everything we just heard, do you have a feel on this prop?
Feels awfully high, doesn't it? Like 290 yards in Washington. The weather is not going to be great. It's going to be cold. Enough of this nonsense about the bedtime, the joking. But I know you guys are joking about it, but people are serious. Like, oh, he doesn't play well at night. He's played primetime games probably more than any other quarterback that's ever lived. Like, he's played so many games at night. The nighttime thing is so ridiculous. It's just he plays better teams at night. That's why he hasn't been as good this season. They started very slow. So I'm not worried about that, but I am worried about the pass rush for Washington. It is legit, guys. It is really good. And Chase Young, we know, Montez Sweat, those guys get after it. John Allen inside as well. I think it'll take him a little bit of time to get comfortable. And if he gets hit early, remember, older quarterbacks get hit early in games. They're not as good at the end of games. They don't want to be hit. I lean under here.
First of all, I got to address this Mike Evans thing. I don't know if you guys saw it walking into the stadium this morning. He was wearing the McLovin shirt, you know, the McLovin ID from Superbad. By the way, that's one of the greatest comedies of the 2000s.
Take his props and hit the over on everything.
Well, hold on, Sarah. I was actually going to say the opposite. McLovin was
Did you just hear the shirt?
ID. What if Mike Evans is just a big decoy out there this weekend? I don't know. McLovin.
If he's wearing that shirt, he's feeling himself, and I'm feeling his props. You have a lot of confidence to wear that shirt.
Yeah. I'm a huge Superbad fan. But at any rate, to get back to what Geoff was saying, I'll just say this. Brady, yes, he's played a lot of primetime games. In his last 7, when he's been over the age of 40, 0-7 against the spread in primetime. It probably doesn't have to do with wearing a diaper or being tucked in by Giselle. But I think there's probably a little something to that. How much of it, I don't know. He's a big, regiment guy. I'm very regimented myself, but I don't have to play NFL games at night being chased by Chase Young. I would lean to the under on Tom Brady.
And Chase Young, we've heard so many times, really wants to sack Tom Brady. Okay, the 12th question of today on Talk the Line coming in from Matt Y. Can we fire up that Derrick Henry special? Let's see. Oh, we got the prop from Fox Bet. Derrick Henry. Wow. I got to get to a Fox Bet state right now. Henry, 75 rushing yards and a touchdown, -120. Jason, you like this?
Sarah, I know we've ridden this to, riches, we'll be flying on private jets if this bet continues. I'm going against it today. Okay. I know that's crazy. Brandon Williams and Calais Campbell, the 2 interior stars of the Baltimore line, missed the earlier meeting this season. They're both healthy this week. They will be playing. Derrick Henry had 34 carries last week, and now he's on a short week, right? I'm going under here. I don't think he's going to get 75 yards. I know that sounds insane given the history of him and last year in the playoff game. Give me the under.
I think you look under here if you think Baltimore scores a lot of points early and it takes the Tennessee Titans out of having to rush the football, which is certainly possible in this game. And it's obviously a contrarian view, which typically works pretty well in these spots, right? In playoff game, things tighten up a little bit. Will the Ravens focus all their energy on Henry? I think they will.
I think the Ravens were giving up 4.6 yards per carry this season, which probably means like 10 for Derrick Henry per carry. I'll lean over. I like this at -120. I'll lay it. Okay, the 13th question on today's show. Levi E., this Bears-Saints game has backdoor written all over it. What's the play here? Well, a lot of money is coming on the Saints, rightfully so. We have Alvin Kamara, Drew Brees is healthy, and now Michael Thomas. Let's head down to Dr. Matt Preventure and get the latest on wide receiver Michael Thomas.
Saints star wide receiver Michael Thomas, who has an injured ankle, is trying to come back for today's game. Now, Thomas took part in Wednesday's practice, but I want you all to know this. Because he's still on injured reserve, the Saints do not have to issue official status as it relates to Thomas's practice participation. And when head coach Sean Payton was asked about Thomas's status, he said, no updates injury-wise. If we see Michael Thomas today, I would expect his productivity to be down about 10%. Why? Because he's got a high ankle injury from the beginning of the season, as well as some hamstring issues as well.
Well, down productivity 10% against the Bears. Jason, what do you think about this Bears-Saints game? Do you even think that the Bears could stay in it long enough to backdoor cover this one?
I mean, I'm not a double-digit favorite guy. 10 is a big number. Saints could be up 27-10, 4 minutes left, and Trubisky goes down the field. No Trey Hendrickson today for the Saints, leading sack guy. I think he was second in the league with 13.5. Obviously, that helps against Trubisky, who is just a mess under pressure. Teaser special. I would not lay the 10.
Geoff?
I like the Bears team total under 18.5. We discussed this on our show on Thursday. If you look at what Trubisky has done, he has not played a defense that's ranked over 14th in DVOA, which is a great metric to measure just the efficiency of either side of the ball, even including special teams, which Jason talked about earlier today. And now he gets a Saints defense that's number 2nd in efficiency. And they do everything well. It's not like they're good in pass defense and poor against the run. They're very balanced. They rush the passer very well too. So I think the Bears here are not going to score a lot of points. Now, could they backdoor cover? Jason's point was surely accurate, right? They just kind of score late in the game, possibly. But again, that's maybe get to 17 points. Their defense plays well enough to hold, New Orleans to 24 maybe, and they get that late touchdown. I go 18.5 under Bears team total.
Yeah, I hate double-digit spreads. So done with this game. On to the next game. Let's see the question here. David R., will Josh Allen go full flamethrower and torch this Colts D? God, I hope so, David. Geoff, what do you think here?
So let me check my notes to make sure I have this right here. The Colts have not allowed a touchdown this season when they rush 4 or less players. Here's it again. They have not allowed a passing touchdown this season when they have rushed 4 or less players. I think what they're going to do in this game is sit back in zone and not let Josh Allen beat them. Now, is it going to work? I think it can work. So I would go under here. I know it's juiced to 150, so maybe not the best play to make today, but specifically to this number, I'd look under here.
Yeah, I would lean with Geoff. My guess is that Geoff is spot on with his guess as to what what Eberflus is going to do defensively. But if you look at that Chargers game, Chargers-Bills, why am I looking at that? Well, I had the Chargers there. It felt like a good play, and Josh Allen blew it up. But they played a lot of zone, and they got to Josh Allen with 4. DeForest Buckner's having a great all-pro type season. I think he can wreak havoc on that line, and they're not going to let anybody beat him deep. John Brown, we don't know how healthy he'll be. Cole Beasley dinged up, Diggs dinged up. I think it's going to be a lot of zone, and I would lean under, but minus 150, no thanks.
I lean under on the Josh Allen passing touchdowns. I tend to agree, but I'm just really hoping the Bills can pull this one through for me. I'll be very embarrassed come next week's show. Okay. Isaac B, this game in Seattle is going to be gross. Should I just look at the Seattle money line here? I'm not from Seattle. I know it's always raining. Conrad could probably speak on that a lot more, our producer, but let's hear from the meteorologist, the professional Allison, get the weather in Seattle.
Let's take a look at the weather in Seattle as the Rams visit the Seahawks as these two NFC West teams meet for their 3rd showdown, this time in the playoffs. Weather conditions at the beginning of the game will be pretty mellow with chilly temperatures in the low 40s by the start of the 4th quarter. Winds will be increasing ahead of a weak front that will be arriving late tonight. Now the rain should be staying clear, so the weather isn't really going to be much of a factor this week. So we will see who can lead their team to the divisional round.
Just to go back to the question itself, will Seattle win straight up minus 150? J-Mac, you mentioned there was a lot of money coming in on the Rams.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what folks are seeing out there. I will just add this, Malcolm, I don't know why you think this game's going to be gross. Okay. All we're seeing in the NFL this year is offense and scoring through the roof. How about a nice defensive performance? Can we just sit down with a warm cup of cocoa in front of the fireplace and watch 2 defenses just hit each other and not allow anything? I mean, yes, I bet the under, so I'm rooting for that, but I don't think this game's going to be gross at all.
Jason, have you watched a Seattle Seahawks game before? They are the grossest games every single week. I mean, this has 1915 written all over it, just like the grossest game of all time. But look, the Rams defense is outstanding. Number 1 passing defense in the NFL, number 1 defending the deep pass, which are things that Seattle likes to do. So I think the play here is not Seattle on the money line. I think that's a poor value play here. I would not touch that, especially like Jason said, with a lot of money coming on the Rams today.
Okay, let's get the next question coming in because we don't have a great feel on that game. Jaden W. Have to get creative here with only 6 games. Any first half totals stand out, J-Mac? What are you looking at here?
Yeah, well, Geoff must have missed Thursday's episode of Talk the Line. Bucks, Washington under 22.5 is one of my, gold plays this week. I really like that. Now, I don't know if the numbers moved on this Taylor Heineke news. But under 22.5, listen, Washington is anemic offensively in the first half. I think they're 29th in the league in scoring. Mm-hmm. And Ron Rivera is just going to be ultra conservative. We don't want to lose the game. Let's have our defense. Let us hang in it. Let's play conservative, check down Charlie, like J.D. McKissick with 15 targets in the half. I don't see that game, a lot of points being scored. And the other one I would look at is Colts-Bills. Now, I gave out the full game under on that. But again, if the Colts need to get the ball first and slow this game down. But those are the two I think Geoff might have an edge.
Great minds think alike, Jason, because I wrote on Wednesday for FoxSports.com that I like the under 22.5 in this game. I'll give you specific reasons why. Tampa and Washington, by the way. You mentioned Washington scoring 29th in the NFL in the first half. Yeah, they average 8.4 points a game in the first half. It's like the New York Jets are worse than them. And the reason why, even if Alex Smith plays, is because, like you mentioned, they want to just slowly kind of grind the game out, right? They're fine with taking checkdowns and being and methodically running the football because their defense does enough. And the second half of games, that's why the second half over hits as well, because they give you a better number because they expect the totals to continue to be down in the second half. But when it's time to throw the ball, Alex Smith can do it. He can throw the ball. He just only does it when they're behind in games. And so that's why we have a low first half, high second half. I love that play.
I like that as well. Next question coming in, the 17th question of the day from Michael C. Which playoff teams are the public all over? Conrad, which teams are seeing the most public money today?
I just want to start off by saying, Sarah, I am so sorry. The Bills are seeing 80% of the money, so they're the play of the week. And then we have a tie for second, which is the Bucks and the Saints are both seeing 69% of the money. I think the spread obviously shows that story. And then, Jason, you mentioned it earlier that everyone and their mother is on the Ravens. You're wrong, my friend. 67% of the money is on Tennessee today.
Ooh, now a home dog getting 67%. Okay, that's good news. I guess I haven't talked to enough moms. Oh.
I'll just end that little joke there. I'm not kidding, guys. My mom loves looking at betting lines. She watches a lot of my shows. My mom liked the Ravens and also the Bills. So everyone, me and my mother, are on those two teams. So, Geoff, does that change your mind about the public being on any of those teams?
No, because I like the Colts. And I like the Ravens. Great with me. I don't really have a say in the Bills. We talked about, the Bears and Saints. We talked about that one. That's just like maybe there's a live opportunity there somewhere. I don't even see a path to a live bet in that game unless the Bears are up like 21-0 and you get some Saints value on the money line, I guess. Like where's the point where there's value on the Saints in this game? I just don't see it. So that's that game.
I just want to ask you guys, we just saw week 17. Remember we did this show last Sunday. We were like, listen, every week for the last 5 years, an upset has happened. It didn't happen in week 17. The public cleaned up. So the public has more money to gamble this week. Mm-hmm. I actually think that 80% means even more, because if you're taking your winnings from last week and rolling it over to this week, is the public really going to win back-to-back weeks here in January against the house? I don't know. Now I'm starting to like the Colts even more.
Well, we're just heading in opposite directions. So one of us is going to make a lot of money and one of us is dead broke come next week. What is the next question, Conrad? I got to get out of this Bills game where I drive myself crazy. Anthony B. Can DK Metcalf break free of Ramsey for a score? I doubt it, but let's head to J-Mac here. Give me your thoughts. Plus 125, Metcalf to score a touchdown, and Ramsey has really murked him in their matchups.
This is interesting. Ramsey has shut down DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans, and head-to-head with Metcalf held him to one catch for 11 yards. But I think there's actually some value here on Metcalf to score a TD. Here's why. What the 49ers did with Deebo Samuel when he was getting shut down, they moved him around and schemed him up in all different kinds of ways. Boom, he exploded for 2 touchdowns and 193 yards in 2 meetings. The key is Brian Schottenheimer smart enough? And yeah, I'm going to ask that question, Seahawks fans. You know this. Is he smart enough to move Metcalf around? Because Ramsey's just going to follow him, but they do play some zone. you got to get creative. And as a Jets fan who knows Schottenheimer well, didn't go well. I don't know that that's going to happen.
Jeff?
I think I would lean under here, or just not take this bet, just because things Jason said. But also, guys, the Rams their pass defense, like, they don't allow nothing. They just don't allow a lot of throws. And we've seen Russell Wilson the last 8 weeks or so, his numbers drop drastically. Early in the year, first 8 weeks, averaging 317 yards passing. Now it's down to 209 over the last half of the season, and his deep intermediate passes have dropped. So they're just not hitting a lot of those shots they hit early in the season where DK was breaking off those long runs. So I think I would stay away from this prop.
Everyone keep sending your questions. If you're joining us here on Talk the Line, use the hashtag Talk the Line on Twitter, or join our Facebook group, the Talk the Line Facebook group there, and you can put your questions in there. We'll try to get to them in the next 20 minutes leading up to kickoff. Jeff M, no, making one big bet. Colts +7 or Ravens -3. Which one of you want to go first and talk about the Colts +7?
I'll let you go, Jeff.
I mean, if you're making a big bet here, would you rather have it on the Ravens, who probably will not get blown out in this game? Like, I don't see them getting blown out because Tennessee's defense is hard to really not score against them. Or the Colts, who do have a chance, they have a good chance to get blown out too. So I think if you're putting all your money on one game, it'd be Baltimore out of the two.
Yeah, I don't know, Sarah. Can you write this guy back and say, why do you feel like it has to be one big bet? Like, it's just not smart gambling. Like, Jeff and we probably should talk a little bit more about bankroll management, but you don't need to go into wildcard weekend, take all the money you got from Christmas and put it on one game. Like, that's just not smart gambling unless you know about an edge that nobody else sees. I will add this. The Ravens' last 2 playoff losses, right? They lost to the Chargers, which was a back-to-back. They played them at the end of the season, and then in the playoff game, Chargers were ready. Last year, they had the bye week after that great season and had to face a hot Tennessee team. This year, ain't none of that. I do like the Ravens.
I like the Ravens too. I don't think the Titans defense is going to be able to keep up with them come tomorrow. Okay, let's see, Conrad. Asher D, better bet, Browns money line or Colts money line, J-Mac? What are you thinking?
I mean, I was going to say something insane like, if the Browns money line comes through, I'll do this show next week wearing like a toupee or something. I just don't have anything funny off the top of my head.
I will hold you to that.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can hold me. I'll do it. But the Browns ain't winning this money line. I think the side is Indianapolis, given those 2 choices.
I don't even think Browns fans think they're going to win this game. And most fans will blindly say their team's going to win the game no matter what the record or the spread is. Like, I think Browns fans are just depressed. They had COVID run through their system, their facility, and it's just not good. Guys, look, the head coach, I know we've talked a little bit about it. It's a big deal because he's the primary play caller. There's no fixing what's going wrong without him on the sidelines. In the first 15 plays will be scripted. After that, it's all up to someone else, someone who hasn't called plays the entire season, someone who did not design the plays, someone who doesn't know how to play sequence as well as Stefanski. The Browns are up against a lot in this game. They have to hope their defense can force a bunch of turnovers to win.
Coming up in less than 15 minutes, you're going to get our 3 biggest takeaways, the 3 things you have to know and how to bet this weekend, this wild card weekend. So stick around for that. Andrew T, should I do a teaser and take the Steelers, Bills, and Seahawks? Jeff, what do you think about this teaser?
I think I would go Steelers, Bills, Rams. I don't know if the value in the Seahawks is going through some dead number 0 is as important. The Seahawks do play a ton of close games. I believe in the NFL they had the most one-possession games over the last 2 seasons. So, again, I think Rams +9 would be the better play if you're taking a play in that game.
Yeah, exactly what Jeff said. And I remember in that second Rams-Seahawks meeting, Jeff, you and I might have both had the Rams in teasers. Yeah. And they lost because Geoff was terrible. They lost by 11, did not cover the teaser. By the way, I saw an insane number. The Buffalo Bills this year in 6-point teasers are 15-1. Tennessee, of course, when they got waxed, that was the only non-cover. So I do like that aspect of the teaser. Again, just one last thing on this Rams-Seahawks game. And Jeff and Sarah, tell me if I'm wrong here. Better receivers, okay? I would say depth, Rams. Better running backs, Rams. Better defensive line, Rams. Better secondary, Rams. Like, the only Seahawks advantage in this game is Russell Wilson over Goff or Wolford. So, and I actually give McVay a slight edge over Carroll, and you guys can feel free to disagree, but I mean, I just don't love Seattle in your teaser, son.
Geoff, you have a thought on that?
Look, McVay is going to find a way for the offense to function. Andrew Whitworth coming back, their left tackle, is a huge advantage for them as well. Now, he could be a little rusty. We'll see how that goes. But, yeah, Jason's right. The talent advantage is most often in the Rams in this game. But we've seen that quarterbacks like Russell Wilson, though, can be special in these moments. I'll end with this on this game. Seattle often plays down to opponents. So even if you have an injured Jared Goff or a backup quarterback, they tend to play down to those opponents. They never blow anyone out who they're supposed to barely beat. So I think the play here would definitely stay on the Rams side, especially in a teaser.
The only thing I'll say is just on behalf of the Seahawks with Russell Wilson, I think his wide receiver advantage is a lot stronger than the Rams. I mean, the Rams are looking for guys like Van Jefferson to make big plays, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, even more stepped up. So I think the advantage is with the wide receivers for Seattle, but the defense edge, of course, goes to the number one defense with the Los Angeles Rams. Okay. Don't forget that last question, guys. Teasers, get through key numbers. They've reiterated a ton, but make sure you're not going through zero. For example, the Seahawks are better off looking at the Rams. Josh L., does Michael Thomas come back for a big day? Geoff?
I would lean no. It's hard to just come back and hit the ground running with very little practice time, which he's had. They found a way to function offense without him. So Drew Brees hasn't been so reliant on making sure that Thomas gets his catches. I think he eases himself back in the game. And if they're up big in this game too, they might pull him in the second half to let him rest a little bit more. I would say no here.
Yeah, the Bears secondary is a mash unit. It's badly beat up. If you look at the earlier meeting, the Bears are susceptible to running backs. Kamara had a big game, and Jared Cook, who killed my fantasy team this year, but of course he showed up against the Bears. Jared Cook had a big game. I would bet against Michael Thomas scoring a touchdown.
Yeah, plus 105, not really juicy enough coming off of the injured reserve. Okay, let's see, Conrad. Which under is hitting this weekend coming in from Dylan J? J-Mac, which under do you like?
Well, I listen, I've got 3 pages of notes, sadly, on Colts Bills. And the next layer that I have for the under is when you look at the Bills and what their defense doesn't do well, defend tight ends. They've been beaten up badly. They're giving up the 4th most receptions and yards to tight ends. What do the Colts love to do? Run the football with Jonathan Taylor. And then Phillip Rivers loves his tight ends. Trey Burton, number 84 Doyle, and Mo Ali Cox. They use tight ends a lot. That's just going to move the chains and chew clock. Colts' best path to victory is trying to control the ball for 36 minutes. I like under 51.
On our Thursday show, we did our confidence picks, and both you guys had Rams and Seahawks under. I had that in mind and then actually told Conrad to remove it for another game. Ooh. So I think all 3 of us are on that, which could be good or bad depending on how you feel about our gambling ability. But I think the under here is the play. It really hasn't budged much of the week, which does kind of worry me that there's maybe some sharp money on the over. But I think the under here in this game, again, Seattle plays weird games, and it's always not raining, but it's cold and windy as usual, and no Goff. Maybe he plays. I don't know. I just go under here.
That's the game I love, the under. Played that. I know, J-Mac, you were all over it too. The unders have just been an absolute trend in these matchups and individually. Rams can score, averaging 15 points a game. Love the under 42.5. Okay, Comrade, let's see what the next question is on the board. Colton N. Will we remember this as the John Walford game? Well, with his help, Rams veteran tackle who's been out since week 10, Andrew Whitworth, he's coming back. Let's get the latest on him from Dr. Matt Preventure.
The Rams' Andrew Whitworth is back for today's game. Remember, Andrew tore his MCL and a partial PCL in week 10 against the Seahawks. He missed 7 games, and the Rams are sure glad to have him back. Whitworth is a force. With a healthy Andrew Whitworth, the Rams score 26 points per game. Without him, only 19. And the Rams need him as they're 22% better with him in the lineup.
22% better, Geoff. How crucial is this, speaking from experience, to have a guy like Andrew Whitworth back in to help out Walford?
I love to hear that offensive linemen matter. Thank you, Doctor. I appreciate you telling us that we all matter. Look, this is huge for many reasons. One is Whitworth is a veteran. He has been in this spot many times in his career. He has started over 200 games. He's the perfect guy to have in this environment. It's just a leader of your offense. So it's great to have him back in the lineup. Obviously protecting your blind side. Carlos Dunlap has done a good job since he's been in Seattle. Now you have a guy to protect Jared Goff. We know that Goff struggles when he gets hit early in games, especially early in games, but late in games, whenever he gets hit. So having him back is just so important for him. Now, I do wonder how healthy he will be. He recovered very quickly from this injury. He's 39 years old, playing in a cold game, off a knee injury, but I think he's better than what they have. This is huge advantage for the Rams coming in this weekend.
I'm going to go to something I said at the outset, Sarah. You said John Wolford game. So first time starting quarterback since 2003 in the playoffs, 9-30 straight up. But a big caveat. Listen, a lot of other shows are going to talk about trends out the wazoo. Trends are not predictive. And here's why. Look at last year's playoffs. Ryan Tannehill, first-time starter, wins in New England. Okay. The other first-time starter in the second round, Jimmy Garoppolo, wins in his first playoff start. So 2-1 last year were first-time starters. Trends are not predictive. Don't automatically think, hey, Wolford's going to be awful because he has to go to Seattle. There's no fans in Seattle, okay? The Seattle defense is trending well, but Jamal Adams is not 100%. Dunlap, who Geoff mentioned, not 100%. Jaron Reed on the defensive line, not 100%. So there is a path to victory for the Rams here.
Yeah, Jason, I feel like that's a really good point. You could find trends to almost back anything nowadays. So be careful with all the trends that you're following, especially in our atmosphere. We see a lot of it. Question number 25. Guys, a few more minutes to get to your questions. Use the hashtag #TalkTheLine on Twitter or Facebook so we can get to them. Okay, Eli K. Now that we know who is in, who will be crowned champ on February 7th? J-Mac, who are you going with today?
Saints? Can I take the Saints? Remember, Tara, you and I were on the Bills heading into week 17. Now, the bandwagon is full. We've gotten nudged out of the way. There's standing room only. I can't take the Bills. Give me the Saints, plus 750. I feel like they're the forgotten team. Remember, top 10 in the NFL right now. Only team, offense, defense, special teams. I'll take New Orleans 750.
So I think the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, but I'm not going to pick them here. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers. I feel like we kind of forgot, guys. It's a good football team, right? Really good on defense. Offensively, if they can play to the talent level they have, and we've seen it for one half now in the last 8 weeks, I get that. They're a very formidable team. Think about this. They beat the Browns, right? They go to Buffalo. They just played Buffalo 6 weeks ago-ish. Remember, offensively, they struggled a lot. But defensively, guys, the best anyone's played Josh Allen in the last 3 months. And they will go back into Buffalo, have a little confidence, especially if they play well on offense tomorrow night. Then they go to Kansas City. Anything can happen in that game. So I think the Steelers here have a ton of value at plus 2,200 right now.
22-1. Those are some juicy odds. I'll make this quick. I'm riding or I'm dying with the Buffalo Bills. I can't go back now. I wore the hat on the show. 7-1. Josh Allen, your game's starting soon. Please, if you can hear me by any shot, do not let me down. I cannot put my face on this show again if they lose. Guys, a few minutes until our takeaways. Let's get the last few questions in. Brian Z, do you tend to do more teasers in the playoffs? I'll go first. Yes, I love teasers. I think it's the way you could find the most advantageous bets in the NFL. J-Mac.
I would say 100%. Good question. And Sarah covered it. First round teasers, the best way to go. These lines have barely budged all week. Even the totals. I think that Bills Colts one budged a 1.5 points. But yeah, teasers. Well done, Brian.
Most of us only choose 4 or 5 games in a full 16-game slate, right? Because we try to find the ones that have value. Right. Well, there's only 6 games, and you want to bet a lot of them because you're watching them this weekend. You want to have some action on them. You're not going to find as much value as the regular season. Plus, the sharps know that everyone's betting these games, right? The lines have got to be right where they need to be. So that's why teasers are so important in the playoffs, is because you can't maybe find the edge at -7, but at -1, you feel much better taking that team. So I think it's very important in the playoffs to find the right teasers and the right combinations.
Good question, Brian. Okay, Roman M. Looking for a great 2-leg parlay. Jack, hit Roman with a 2-leg parlay, and a great one, not a good one.
So I had Tampa Bay and I had Pittsburgh in a parlay early in the week. That feels like, look, you're not going to get as much return on that one because they're both big favorites, but you're trying to go money line and win money, I guess, in this one. I mean, you have to lay a little bit, but I feel like very confident you'll get a return in this one.
Yeah, if he's talking money line parlay, if he's talking straight up parlay, then yeah, I like what Geoff said, Pittsburgh and Tampa, assuming, Taylor Heineke starts. But if you're looking at a money line parlay, I feel confident mostly in the Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens.
Love both of those money line parlays. Good options for Roman. Let's try to get one more question in before we hit our big takeaways. Hunter M, will any favorite lose by a touchdown? Good question, Hunter. Jason, what do you think?
Oh boy, favorite lose by a touchdown. I hate to contradict what I just said, but I mean, there is a scenario where the Tennessee offense just remains a juggernaut. Lamar Jackson, vomits all over himself again in the playoffs. I don't think it's going to happen, but that could easily happen. And Tennessee wins by a touchdown.
That's the only game I could see this happening with, right? I mean, even if Buffalo loses, not losing by more than a touchdown, right? I mean, like that's just the Saints that would be wild, right? I think it is Tennessee in this spot.
Finally, we've made it to the point in the show where we have the 3 big takeaways, what you need to know gearing up to bet the wild card weekend, the big 6-game slate. Jason, I will start with you. Give me the 3 takeaways, your wild card cheat sheet.
Okay, so last night, Conrad asked for these, and I said, well, have you seen this Alex Smith news? And I had to make this number 1. Tom Brady ain't losing to Taylor Heineke. That's not happening. Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers next week, first time in the playoffs. Like, that is the marquee game. Sunday afternoon, book it. Can't wait already. Next up, this has been the season of the underdog in the NFL. Underdogs, I think this was their best percentage since like 2006. They hit 55% against the spread. Is that going to continue? If you've now watched us for 50 some odd minutes, I like a couple underdogs led by the Colts. And finally, does defense still even matter in the NFL, folks? Okay, I got a crazy number for you. The top 5 defenses, according to the stuff Geoff and I look at, the advanced stats, they're all in action this weekend. And 8 of the top 9. Okay, they're in action, but this is an offense-first league. Highest scoring season in forever. We'll see if defense matters. I think it does. You've heard me mention a couple unders, but I guess we'll find out.
Geoff, what does your cheat sheet look like today?
So will we get an upset? It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen somewhere. We did mention this last week, and Jason brought this up early in the show. Like we mentioned, the being upset last weekend, we didn't have one. We had some close ones, right? The Texans probably should beat the Titans, but there's an upset this weekend. It's gonna happen. It's a matter of where it's gonna be, and do you have money in the right spots? Who stays hot? Lots of hot teams right now, right? Buffalo, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. I think they feel like they're kind of getting hot at the right time. Will they continue to play this well in the playoffs, knowing there's more pressure on you now? The lights are bright on you. We saw last year, Tennessee came in the playoffs hot, made it all the way to the AFC Championship game. Will that continue for a team this season? And Lamar, guys, look, Baltimore needs this win this weekend, right? If you lose this game, and I assume you'll lose this game because your offense struggles. I cannot see a scenario where they score 35 points and lose. So assuming their offense struggles in a playoff game again, that'll be 3 straight seasons now of offensive failure as a favorite in the playoffs. There's a lot of pressure, and I'm not sure that's applied by them, but by us on the Ravens needing to win this game. If they win this game, guys, especially if they win by a touchdown or more, watch out, because next weekend they might go to Kansas City. The monkey's off their back. They're playing more relaxed. They got that playoff win finally, and they'll turn into a whole different team. So watch out for Baltimore this weekend.
Okay, let's make mine quick. Our cheat sheet, my cheat sheet. Big on unders, Rams, Seattle, follow the trend. I love it here. Rams are averaging 15.7 points a game over their last 3. Who's playing quarterback? I don't know. I like the under. Steelers are getting too much love. I know Stefanski's out. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are the real deal. They could run the ball in the Steelers defense. I like them to cover. I'm the only one. Perfect teaser weekend. If you like the Colts, tease them up. You can get 14 points. I bet by kickoff right now. You look at other games, Titans +9. That gets you a lot of points for the Titans. And then Bucks, tease them down. -2, -1. They're going to win that game. 1:30, you guys. We got to get quick questions in. Max Y, who's the best quarterback? Or excuse me, who's the quarterback of the Bears next season, J-Mac?
Reluctantly, Mitchell Trubisky.
Agreed.
Next. Jonah P, will this be Bree's final season regardless, Geoff?
Yeah, he might be in the booth next weekend if he loses today.
Yes, he's done.
Next. Sean T, can Rams win without Goff?
No.
Yes.
I said yes. Okay. Josh C, better day, Wolford or Trubisky?
Wolford.
Wolford.
Wow. Next question. Wolford has a better day. Calvin T, can Cleveland win despite all the issues? I say yes. What do you guys say?
I love how we wait till the final minute of the show before Sarah says she's on the Browns. All week we've been talking all week, and she waits till the very end of the show to say, I'm on the Browns.
I couldn't handle any bullying. I'm already getting ruined on the Bills here. I'm taking my 6.5 points quietly. Next question. Zach K, favorite wild card matchup?
The first
Cleveland
one.
and
Love it.
Pittsburgh, so Sarah can come in here and brag next week.
Sure, I'll take that one too. Next, Matt Y, will Kamara get multiple touchdowns?
No.
Maybe afterward in the club that he goes to.
Okay, we'll end on that one. I like your response. Guys, it's time for kickoff and to see who is on the right side of this game. And please, Bills, if you're listening, Bills Mafia, I need you. Guys, it was a fun show. Good luck on your bets for Geoff Schwartz and Jason McIntyre. I'm Sara Perlman on behalf of everyone here with Fox Bet. Join Carissa, Colin, and J-Mac Monday at 3 p.m. and we will see you next week. Bills.